All right, Combat Convo, you know what it is, man. We back at it. We back at it. So the fight has happened. And before we get into that, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the page. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the content. You know what I'm saying? Also, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so y'all be notified when we drop new episodes. All right, man. Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. This is gonna be a pretty interesting episode. I've watched the fight. You want me to start first, or you want to go first?
Now go ahead.
Okay, so I watched the fight, and I'm gonna be honest. It was a very good fight. That was a very good fight. It made me feel like Jake Paul. You can't say he's not a boxer now. You can't say he's not a boxer now because he went in there and he did his thing. He didn't get knocked down, but he knocked the other guy down.
Yeah, he did.
So when people say anything, I'm gonna put it to you like this. Even though I believe Jake Paul won that fight. Now, the only reason why I say he won that fight is because I think the other guy got a little hits in there, but to me, I only seen 2 or 3 flush punches. Jake Paul, I seen about 6 or 7 in the knockdown, that was a good punch, and he hit him with that at least 2 or 3 times in that fight. He got a lot of good hits in there, man. So I see people online saying, "Oh, see what happens when he fights a real boxer. See what happens." I think it's like you can't even say that because he knocked the guy down.
Yeah.
So you can't say, "Oh, look what this is what happened when he fights a real boxer." Just the judges went in their favor, because I could almost guarantee everybody believe that Jake Paul won that fight.
Yep.
So now y'all trying to cap, like, yo, I'm telling you, I know for a fact that people believe he won that fight.
Yeah.
And then when they were surprised, just like him. I was shocked when I seen he lost. But that's how it is. People get robbed all the time in boxing. Let's not act like this doesn't happen. Like, there's plenty of fights where we thought the boxer clearly won the fight. It's like, and even the announcer saying this is some bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I gave him that fight, man. I think that he went in there and he proved that he could stand with a real boxer. And I think that this is a learning curve for him. Even though they gave the decision to the other guy, he could just say he lost by decision. You can't say you knocked him out. Well, a loss is a loss, but still, what can you really say? So to me, it was up to Fury to emphatically beat him, and he didn't. He won by decision. It was 8 rounds, right?
Yeah, it was only 8.
Yeah, so it was 8 rounds. So,
I mean, look. All right, so I'm gonna go by saying this. Everything that I said about Jake Paul, I gotta take it back because he definitely showed he's a boxer, and he definitely showed that he can hang with a boxer. Now, here's the thing, right? The moral to all this is that he hung in there with a professional fighter. You understand? A professional boxer. That's my whole point. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
He hung in there with a professional boxer and he did his thing hands down. He did his thing. He held his own with a fury. That that's no easy task
Mm-hmm.
because all those guys have a certain boxing pedigree that is unmatched
Mm-hmm.
in the boxing world, especially Tyson. So for him to do that, that's a remarkable feat in itself. Another thing is that, you know what I mean, people can't go on and say, oh, you know what I mean, see what happened when he got into a actual fight with a boxer or whatever. Like, no, the whole point was, if Fury fights this guy, he's got to lay him out. Fury was supposed to dominate this fight. I don't care if he's the least experienced of the Furies. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about none of that stuff. He has more experience than Jake Paul, so he was supposed to dominate this fight. That's the whole point. Now we've seen splashes of him controlling the fight in the earlier rounds, but it wasn't nothing too crazy to the point where you was gonna be like, oh, he about to put him down, he about to knock him. No, he just basically controlled the fight in certain parts of the rounds. But for the most part, this was an even fight. Like, he won the earlier rounds and in between, and then Jake Paul won some of the later rounds and in between. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was 10-9 the whole entire fight. It was 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. One person got 10, this one got 9, and vice versa, all the way to the 8th round. Okay? He knocked him down. He put him on his butt. I don't care if it was a flash punch or whatever the case may. He put him on his butt. I don't care if he got up fast. No, he surprised him and put him on his butt.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Tommy Fury did not knock this man out, not even one time. He ate some of Tommy Fury's best punches, which means that all that stuff they was talking was smoke and mirrors. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? That was
Yeah.
just the hype of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy was supposed to knock him out. Now, I'm not saying that Tommy's nice. He can fight. But what I'm saying is that with his experience, he was supposed to overwhelmingly dominate this fight. There should have been no reason why Jake Paul hung in there for that long with this man and actually came out on top to win. Because I thought he won. I thought he was robbed. I'm gonna be honest with you. I felt like Jake Paul was robbed. I felt like he was robbed. I felt like I felt like they didn't want him to win the fight because first of all, Saudi Arabia was against him the whole entire time he was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like that last judge was in his feelings. Oh, this is a mockery to boxing. If Jake Paul wins this fight, oh man, it's not gonna look good for like I'm just I'm thinking like, man, that's what they wanted anyway. They didn't want him to win the fight. They didn't want him to win the fight. They didn't care if he looked good or not. They just didn't want him to win that fight.
This is my
You
thing
know?
is, right? This is my thing, and this is why I truly hate people who say stuff like that. How is it a mockery to boxing when this man has been boxing? It's not like, I understand what people say that. I get it. But at the same time, he's taking this very serious. He's training
Yeah.
to be a boxer. How is it a mockery to boxing? There are millions of boxers all over the world. I'm talking like people who are coming up who you never heard of. Jake
Mhm.
Paul has the balls to step in the ring with a real boxer, a real fighter, whether they're a boxer or not, because he's not a fighter. Jake Paul don't have a black belt. Jake Paul doesn't have he's not a professional boxer. I would say now he is, but before he's not a professional boxer. But
Mhm.
if you look at from where he came till today, how could you say that that's a mockery to boxing? He went from, he fought professional fighters, whether they're MMA to to boxing. These guys literally put their life on the line. This guy trained and came up and fought. You gotta respect that. He didn't have no training. He's trained to be a boxer, and he fought people who are legitimate fighters. Not to say that, because my thing is like, I'm not saying that before he wasn't a real boxer. I'm saying if you fight Anderson Silva, whether Anderson Silva but Anderson Silva been a world champion. He's been beating people for years, even though he's old, but he still is that dude. Tyrone Whitley, he's been in the UFC beating people for years. He was the champion, doing his thing. These dudes are professional fighters. This guy wasn't. He came up and he fought professional fighters. What that tells me is that even if you're a professional fighter, you could still get touched by somebody that's not a professional. That's all that tells me. Because if it wasn't like that, then they would have all beat him easily. Whether it was, he's not like, people keep saying this thing like, well, this guy wasn't a boxer, or well, this guy wasn't a MMA. Like, my thing is like, but what about him? He's not a real fighter. So you're saying that because he trained for 2 years, these guys been training for years, and he came in and touched them. You get what I'm saying? It's like he got the cheat code. Like he came in like the game genie. He's like, oh, Jake Paul's coming in with the game genie. He's like, and he cheated, not cheated, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's like he skipped a level. So how can you say that this guy is a mockery to boxing when he's not a real fighter, but he's still touching people who are real fighters? I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
But you gotta look at you. People be in their feelings, man. People be emotional when it comes to these sports, man. And like I'm seeing the comments. I'm looking at people. I'm just like, yo, it's nothing you can say now. You gotta admit to it, just like I did. Like you gotta like give him his flowers. Like he did his thing, and I thought he got robbed. And I felt like that last judge was in his feelings, and he didn't want the man to win. You know what I'm saying? Because the Saudi crowd and all this other stuff that played a big factor into him losing that fight. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
That just goes to show you. That goes to show you that even if you get knocked down, people still say, bro, Jake Paul would have had to literally knock him out for him to win that fight. I told you that.
Yeah.
I said that. Mm-hmm. I said if they go to the decision, they're going to give it to the other dude. I said that. Yeah. Because that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to give it to him because he's not a real fighter. And that's how they're looking at it. They would never.
Yeah, and they still looking at it that way too.
Yeah,
they like still looking at it, and it just proves my point. Like, you know what I mean? They would feel like it's a mockery to boxing if he was to win that fight, if he was to beat the legit boxer. Just admit, Jake Paul has a great camp. He got terrific trainers, and he got people that really showed him the ropes, and he learned fast.
Yeah.
He learned fast. I put it to you like this. If he continues like this, bro, he's going to end up getting a belt sooner or later. Mm-hmm. If he continues like this, he's going to end up getting a belt sooner or later from somebody.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Well, this is my thing, right? What's really mind-boggling to me, and it really bothers me, is that people act as if people can't learn how to fight. Like, everybody acting as if, like, Jake Paul can't learn how to be a professional boxer. As if Canelo never... It's like, oh, well, these people been fighting all their life. They've been fighting since they were 12, 10, 9. He came in fighting when he was 22. It's like, okay, so what? What difference does it make? Who gives a hell? Like, that he came in fighting later on in his life. It's like, who cares? Actually, I'll argue that that's probably actually better because he been touching people who have been fighting all their life, and he came in and fought as an adult. You know what I'm saying? Because as an adult, you're a little more smarter. Not to say that. I guess when you're a kid and you learn how to box, you become a good fighter. You become a good boxer, but you still you don't have the intellect as if you were an adult and you learned how to fight. Because now you can maneuver, you could do different things. I understand that the whole the bread, what they call it, when you raise somebody into something. I understand that. But at the same time, you think about it, like, this guy hasn't been boxing, not even 10 years. Not even 5 years. About 5 years. But You get what I'm saying? So I think that I think that I think that people need to get off this because he was a YouTuber. He's a legitimate fighter now. You can't say that. He stepped in a ring with a legitimate fighter and he didn't get knocked down. He didn't even he was like, "Oh, well, he looked like he was tired." Oh, yeah. Everybody looks like they're tired when they're swinging hard. Like try to go 8 like I could box and I try to go 10 rounds with someone like, yeah, that shit is that's pretty hard. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I think he got robbed, and I think that a lot of people are going to be clowning him because of this. But this right here is only going to make him better. It's only going to make, they're going to probably fight again. This is only going to make him better.
Yeah, they definitely going to fight again because the bet was if he wins, he gets double. You know what I mean? And if he loses, he gets nothing. So he got double. And then also in the contract, he got a rematch clause. So they're going to fight again. They're going to fight again at some point in time. They're going to fight again. So when they fight again.
Watch this. Watch how people online say, yeah, they set that up for him to lose because he going to win the next fight. Like, if Jake Paul wins the next fight, it's going to be, see, and now they're going to fight another time. Jake Paul's smart because he's building like, bro, oh my God, people, man. I don't know, man. But either way, man, it was a pretty good fight. I will say that. It was a pretty good fight. Went back and forth both ways. Very entertaining. Jake Paul, the last 2 fights, to me, his last 2 fights was pretty good. He fought Anderson Silva. That was a good fight. When he fought this guy, it was a good. Actually, his last 3 fights. When he knocked out Tyrone Whitley, he knocked him out. Then he fought Anderson Silva. That was a good fight. And this fight was a good fight. So I don't get the whole mockery of boxing. Like, I don't. But either way, man. Combat Convo, you know what it is, man. We out of here. Peace.